What's going on, everyone? Cyclops from Paramount Cyclops here, and did you know that you, listening to this video right now, are a frog? And you are currently being boiled, and you may have already gotten past the point where you can physically get out of the boiling pot. What am I talking about? Well, the old adage, the old phrase, whatever you want to call it, of how do you boil a frog? You bring the temperature up slowly, and that is true. But it's not for the reason most people think. Most people think it's because the frog doesn't realize it's being boiled, but the frog knows it's being boiled, which makes it even worse. Which makes it even worse for you. You boil a pot, throw a frog in, the frog gets shocked, it's really hot, jumps out right away. You throw a frog in, you bring the temperature up slowly. Frog's blood pressure gets up to the point where when the water's finally boiling, the frog physically can't jump out because its blood pressure is too high. It knows it's being boiled. And that's where we're at right now. Tucker Carlson had some questions on the vaccine. I don't see anything wrong with asking questions. If you see something wrong, ask questions. What was it back in the day? Teachers used to always tell us that the only dumb question is an unasked question. Now we live in a society where the only good question is a question that fits a certain narrative on a list that we're allowed to question. If it is not on that list, we are not allowed to question it. And martial law, from where we're at right now, is not that far. But we'll get into that in a second. I feel like we are at a point right now where our rights are kind of on a ledge. And it is us ourselves that are handing our rights over on a silver platter. In fact, if you start questioning, hey, I don't want to hand over my rights, then online everybody says, well, how dare you question anything? How dare you push back against the powers that be? Shut up. Do as you're told. Think what they tell you to think. Watch the mainstream media and no other news source. Go with that narrative and don't you dare question anything, even if things are questionable. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Your eyes deceive you. The powers that be tell us how it is, and that is just simply how it is. Now get in line and do as you're told. And we can't ask the question. In fact, we can't ask the question so much that the article I was going to show you, which was Tucker Carlson questioning the vaccines, just questioning the vaccines. And that article no longer exists. I emailed it to myself, and just in the time it took me to email it to myself and open up the link, the article has changed. The context of the article has changed. It's no longer about asking questions. It's now about the vaccine and why they're saying that old white people should be allowed to die because they're the wrong color of skin, which is going to be my next article a little bit later today. But we can't ask the questions. We must just simply obey. And martial law is not that far a leap from where we're at right now. On its base, what is martial law? Martial law is essential businesses, and only essential workers are open. Everybody else is limited to essential or emergency travel. Kind of sounds familiar. Kind of sounds like something we're doing right now. Kind of sounds like what? And if you don't think that martial law can be enacted without you knowing, I'll bet you didn't know that martial law has been enacted in the United States several times. It's just not like the movies. It's not something where they go door to door and it sticks out and it's the biggest news since... No, it's quietly done, and it's done in secret. And it's done slowly. And I feel kind of like we're the frogs. And we're getting boiled. Because we can't even ask the questions. And if you can't ask the questions, then the powers that be control the narrative. Because if you can't ask the questions, if they say the sky is chartreuse, and you're not allowed to question it, and you're only allowed to say that the sky is chartreuse, then no matter how much you want to try, no matter how much you look at the sky and say, well, it's blue during the day, visibly at least, and it's black with stars at night, no matter how much you know it and see it, if you're not allowed to ask the questions, and the narrative is that the sky is chartreuse, then guess what? The sky is chartreuse. If you put a speed limit sign on the road and it says 65 miles per hour, and everybody and the brother, not one person goes 65 miles per hour, everybody goes 80 miles per hour or faster, then guess what? The speed limit is not 65 miles per hour. It may say 65, but it's not. And you may think you have the right to question, but I would question that. I know for a fact my channel is being quarantined. My channel is being artificially held back. My very ability to email YouTube creators is removed. And slowly things are getting removed. I fight and I push back and I get a little bit back. And then they remove a little bit more, but rights are important. So I fight for rights and I fight for your rights, because your rights and my rights are intertwined. If I lose my rights, you lose your rights. They're not mutually exclusive. We're kind of in this together. And if we can't ask the questions, then we're being boiled, and we are the frogs. Maybe we should jump out, look back at the pot, and think and ponder and say, that looks like a pot. That looks like flame. It looks like the pot's boiling. Can I ask a question? Why are we in a boiling pot? Are we allowed to do that? Are we allowed to just question things? Anyways, next article, which is the article that is now the article that was supposed to be this article. This article was about Tucker Carlson and how he was being hounded online simply for asking questions, and how it seemed like our rights were being slowly stripped away, because how do you control someone's rights? You control the narrative. If you control the narrative, then nobody's going to know their rights are being taken away, because nobody can question anything. Everybody must accept everything. But that article's gone, and now that very same article with the exact same link, the link hasn't changed. I emailed it to myself. Well, now that article is about another story I was going to do anyways, so yeah. Why is it that it is okay in the news to call for old white people to be deleted because they're the wrong color of skin? That's my next article. Stay tuned for that. I love you guys. Questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Imagine if you never asked any questions. Your first job ever. Just out of high school, just out of middle school, whatever age you got your first job. Imagine if you never asked questions. Imagine if our founding fathers never asked questions. What? A new tax? Yeah, okay. What? America was founded on questions. Our freedom is based on questions. Ask away.